Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So this is going to be one of the two videos that I make about Alliance Quest Map 8. And in this video I'm going to basically do the full gameplay run through, and in the second video we're going to be taking more at the look of these sheets that our Alliance used for planning. I'm going to share my initial experience and basically what are and where the assignments. I'm going to sum up the total attackers and defenders that our alliance used in day one, and all sorts of different stuff to hopefully help more people get into map 8 should they happen to be, maybe not ready, maybe just waiting their time trying to get more information for map 8. Right, so this was my team. It was Corvus, Venom, and King Groot, and that is exactly how I entered the Alliance quest. My paths were 388. So I start with path 3 in section 1, then I move on to path 8 and 8. Now, initially I actually had a bit of a rough start. I used a few items on section 1. Then section 2 and 3 I didn't really need any items till the very end. But vast majority of the items that I ended up using was just because I was a bit of a cheapskate and I didn't want to put on Liquid Courage Double Edge for my Corvus fights, which is something that I will definitely not do again. If I need to change my masteries, I will change my masteries, especially if I'm using Corvus, which worked out quite well, to be honest. Initially, I was a bit more skeptical. King Groot put in a ton of work throughout the entire map, and Venom I only used against the boss. And to be honest, like, he really wasn't needed. I'll probably swap him out for something else. But here we are. The first fight, we have Flux Dispersal and Pull. And this is a bit dodgy fight, where you have to knock them out in order to get rid of Flux Dispersal charges, and then they are debuff immune. And with King Groot, he's not the highest damage output champion, especially within like the first minute of the fight. So when I was not running Liquid Courage Double Edge, these fights were cutting it close. This video is actually, I should have given you guys a warning, it's going to be quite a long video. I believe in total I took about 25 fights, and obviously the ones that we take with Corvus are relatively brief, but most of the ones that I took with King Groot do last the full 3 minutes, or in a couple of them I actually ended up timing out, I think. So there is that. But obviously King Groot being King Groot, when you time out with him, you get your health halved. It's not a big issue. You're going to heal up later on anyways. So here, once again, I'm up against the Carnage. The point is, because of Pull, only my level 2 really does the proper damage, which kind of does the proper damage, I guess I'm going to go and say. But we're getting through it. We're getting through it. And definitely nobody in my team was very ideal for these shared Pull fights, because we had 3 people assigned in the middle, because there are like 3 parts. And, well, none of my champions were like really great for it, to be honest. Especially initially until I build up Corvus. Later on, when I would have my charges on Corvus and he's, Liquid Couraged and double-edged up, then he'd probably be much better option. But here, you can see that this fight is lasting quite a while, because the Flux Dispersal just makes it so annoying. Really, I did not enjoy these fights. So here I am going up against Carnage, and I finished the first fight barely without timing out. Like 1 second left. Then my second fight is against Captain Marvel, and there's nothing too special. This video is going to be long as is, so for some of the fights like here, I'm just going to kind of speed through them. But this one was taken by King Groot himself as well. I think I do time out in this one, then go back in and just finish the job. So you can see that the health really is never an issue, just the timer. So then I go back in and finish it up. And if I show all of these recordings in their full length, we're going to be here for, I think, nearly an hour. Map 8, at the very least for me, definitely seemed like much lengthier affair than Map 7 did. But it also could be just because I used King Groot and just because I took so many of the shared fights. And there's also an annoying bit where I'd actually prefer if Map 8 would be like 9 parts, 9 parts, or 9 parts, or 9, 10, 9 parts, or something like that. Because the way it stands right now, the people that initially join and start clearing the parts, well, they they outspend a ton of energy. And then your backups are kind of in predicament. They can join without necessarily knowing where they will have to go except for section 2. So they can't necessarily bring in the perfect team either. And it's just kind of like a bit confusing, especially till you get into the groove of things. And here I will actually make some mistakes with my Corvus. What I should have done is just went full on aggro without like thinking too much about using this perfect block crossfight ability, which can be kind of helpful, but honestly it's really, really not worth working with it. For some of the fights where I'm going to use King Groot with this same set of abilities, it'll be just much easier to stack some armor ups to prevent them from healing up. And that is about it. But I definitely must say that whatever happens with Corvus here initially, and I'm going to have a bit of a rough time because I wasn't running Liquid Courage Double Edge, is precisely because of that reason. I should have run Liquid Courage Double Edge, and that should have been just the end of it all. It really should have been. But, you know, you live and learn. There are a few more kind of like things that I took from my first run. And overall, it was quite a successful run, I think. So here I'm out of charges already. I'm trying to bait out a level 2, which is perfectly fine. Now I'm going to try and finish this fight off. And I'll finish this fight off, I think, just about fine. Or nearly fine. So here we go. Yes, we do finish this fight off. And here against Punisher, I'm going to bring in Corvus as well because he has that ability that, you know, gives him the perfect block and kind of counters this crits on block and them healing through hitting on your block. But again, I think the best way to counter this is just bring a champion that inflicts a lot of debuffs or has heal block, and that's about it. If you're not running Liquid Courage Double Edge, like I did not enjoy using Corvus initially. Later on, Corvus is going to shine though. And here I make another mistake, and this is where kind of like my rough problems start. Now I figured out what I'm going to do, so I go in just with my King Groot. And with King Groot, here's going to be, again, one of the first learning moments for my path. As soon as I get to level 2, I will realize that level 2 might not necessarily be the greatest idea. And we can see that with special attacks, they actually heal significant amount. And, you know, the fact that they do block damage, critical, for King Groot, it doesn't matter too much. What matters is that they heal up, because my damage output is not the greatest as is. But here I'm trying to get to my level 2, which I will succeed in time. 7 Fury is active. That's wonderful. We do plenty of damage. But because I inflicted poison, Lionheart node activates, and I get that degen. I'm like, whoopsie, my health is kind of going away. And at this point here, haven't done all that much damage, and I have lost health since I entered. So I decided just to go for my level 1s, which is the perfect and ideal thing to do if you're running Despair Mastery, because with that, we're also mitigating the amount Punisher is going to heal from striking in my block. And as far as the rest of it is concerned, you know, I have no problems out healing the block damage with Sig 100 King Groot. So that is going to be the strategy here kind of going forward if I will not be running Corvus. But I probably will. I will swap out Venom, most likely, but I'll keep Corvus in and I'll just activate Liquid Courage Double Edge, and I suspect it's going to be much, much better start for me. As I said, I do use some items in this run, but pretty much all of them are kind of like in section 1, just because, you know, I know initial nervousness, maybe getting used to it, and definitely a lot of it was not putting on Liquid Courage Double Edge. So here we finished with King Groot's fine. We're going to go against Cable, and this is going to be another kind of like very bad fight where you're going to see I get degent. Dex has not worked for me for like weeks now, and yesterday and today has been by far the worst ones with dexterity. Pretty much all the time, my Dex randomly decides to shut off. We're going to see that in a couple of fights much later on, and we're going to definitely see a lot of it in my Alliance War, where dexterity just decides not to really work. So if I had Liquid Courage Double Edge, at this point the fight would be over, but I'm going to butcher it, so I'm going to end up reviving my Corvus again, which is going to be a bit of a waste. So this is a bit of a rough start, especially because he was only like 7% health away. And here I decided that since it's Professor X and since it's a mutant, I already got the mutant charge in Corvus. I don't need that. So I'm just going to bring in my King Groot for this fight as well. And here is a very great example of how much he actually healed up just from one blocked hit. It was like, 1.5k. It's a very substantial amount if you do need your parries and your openings. But it's fine. It's fine. So let's move on here. So I'm nearly at my level 2, but I do not want to use those. So I throw my level 1, which again is placing the permanent armor breaks on the opponent and luckily for me, mitigating the healing. Right. So now we just need to kind of like wait out Professor X's cycle of when he throws his special attacks and then unblockable. That's wonderful. Now he has no charges active there. I am going to enter my Fury mode, my damage mode. Just need to bait out this level 2 from Professor X. So I drop another level 1. So now I can block very safely. He's pretty much never going to heal up anymore from hitting in my block. And it's all going well. So King Groot definitely works for this path 3 really well, actually. But yeah, if I had my Liquid Courage Double Edge, I'd still probably had ended up using Corvus for these fights. I think it's after this set of fights where I decide to stop being stingy, because obviously using items is more expensive than changing masteries. So it's all good. So here we are. He has 9 armor breaks. Even without Furies, King Groot can dish out decent damage now, thanks to those 9 armor breaks. Still have a minute on the clock here, and plenty of time to spare. We're going to finish off this fight in a moment. Yeah, nice 10k crit. So now we are going to move to the next clip, and next fight was something that I was worried about significantly because I didn't actually notice initially, and none of my champions work well here. This is again that node combination of Flux Dispersal, Pull, because it is a shared fight. But, this is going to be a long one again. And I will just kind of skim through this one because it's going to be really long. I think that my Dex wasn't working here again for whatever reasons. I don't know. My King Groot just started doing whatever he wants, however he wants. So I had to pause. I once again wipe my hands, once again, clean my screen. But it has been a very constant, very huge issue here where the controls of the game just seem so unreliable to a point where like I was properly raging today, and not because of Alliance Quest, even though it did come into play in Alliance Quest as well, but because of Alliance War. I was and still am extremely angry right now, but that too shall pass, I suppose. So here we go. Black Widow, Clairvoyant, and obviously she keeps nullifying my Furies and all that other stuff. And I initially thought that letting her go into the poison curse was the game plan because King Groot's bleed immune, but it wasn't a game plan. she still got enough charges all the time to nullify everything, and well, let's just say it didn't help much. So we timed out, but we did actually more damage than I thought. I thought I would have to time out multiple times with King Groot here, but it's fine. And now I went back in with King Groot with this Black Widow Clairvoyant, and actually, well, I healed up a bit, I guess, like not too much, but it's King Groot. And now here is going to be one of the mistakes. So this Luke Cage is a super easy, super quick fight. I already have my Liquid Courage Double Edge active, and well, the point of this fight is that it has the boss crossfight ability. The one thing that I didn't quite realize, I knew it, but I just kind of forgotten about it, is that it only works for one fight, and then it disappears. And I know for a fact that I had read it, I knew how it works, I didn't like it then, I don't like it now, even more, so I get the boss crossfight ability here, because like I can use Corvus against Nimrod. And then obviously I can go either to the left or to the right. I can go to the left or to the right. Whoopsies, sorry. And I choose to go to Falcon. I choose to go to Falcon because he's an Avenger. At this point, I'm going to put on 10% attack boost because I have plenty of those. And I'm going to put on 150% Cosmic boost because my plan is to nuke down the Nimrod with Corvus. And here's the critical mistake. I don't follow in my head that if I grab the Avengers charge from Falcon, I lose the crossfight ability. So the crossfight ability activates for this fight, where I really did not need it for like any reason, pretty much. And it will not be active for Nimrod fight. On top of that, I obviously make another silly mistake, eat level 1, you know, as you do. As you do. So here I triggered that energize, wonderful. I'm gonna take this on a block. I'm gonna drop a heavy attack, I think, then I'm gonna go for level 2. And, you know, that'll be fight over. But in my head, I still think that Corvus is going to have that crossfight ability for Nimrod boss fight. And even though Nimrod's still linked, he has, you know, encroaching stun node active and hit right back at it. I find no real issue with it here because I know that I'm gonna gain power quicker, and once I get to my level 2, I'll be able to cycle them thanks to Cosmic Power Back boost, and encroaching stun should not be an issue either. So I enter this fight thinking that as long as I get to my level 2 quickly enough, you know, I'll be fine, and I can push him to level 3 because I'm gonna end up power draining him, so I purposely play in a manner where I don't want him to use his level 2. And here we can see that encroaching stun is about to expire because I realized that my crossfight ability is not working. I still rush to get to level 2. And here I drop a second hit and I tap on special attack button. And my special lock, well, Nimrod special lock activates and I can't use it. And I can't use my special attack. And I get stunned and I get KO'd. At that point, I figured out I'll leave it because it was quite late already in the evening. Well, I didn't quite figure out I'll leave it. I went in with King Groot because if I was going to use a revive, I might as well, you know, chip away a bit with him because I'll revive King Groot and heal him up later on anyways. Didn't do anything. I left it to my teammates to finish it off. And I woke up next morning to this, I believe. Yeah, so woke up next morning and I think there was a problem recording. And most of this Venom fight didn't record, but that's the only fight that I think I lost. And here the nodes are buffed up attacker, buffed up defender, which are the only relevant nodes really, where I need to have 3 buffs in order to do damage, and the defender needs to have 3 buffs in order for me to do damage. So both champions have to have at the very least 3 buffs active. That crossfight ability that you gain here, again, it doesn't really do much. It increases the potency or duration of the debuffs and buffs that you gain or inflict during special attacks. But, you know, it really isn't that important. I guess it's neat, suppose so. You know, can get longer poison duration on King Groot, or if you change phases during special attack, then longer heal or something. So, it's fine. But the base idea is just, I just need to get to my Fury cycle in order to be able to do damage and make sure the opponents do have 3 buffs active on them. Since I'm using King Groot for these fights, they're obviously going to be taking a bit of time because it's King Groot. And this video is already 20 minutes long. Jeepers, we better get a move on. It gets much better from this point. It gets much better from this point. Right. So King Groot level 2, plenty of poison damage. Now I need to again wait for my Furies to be active. All is good. Drop the Furies. Unfortunately, I didn't gain any extra Furies. So as soon as I use my level 2, I dipped below the 3 buffs. But here we are. At this point, I just need to wait for 3 buffs to be active. Finish off the fight against Colossus and we can move on. This Super Skrull is actually very annoying. I'm also going to time out against this Super Skrull, but it's a very tricky fight. I did not enjoy it at all, and it was frustrating to fight because of his power gain and his reluctance to use Special 1. Unfortunately, he got to his special 2 several times, which obviously inflicted quite a lot of block damage. And then because of that, at times he went unblockable. And it was just a nasty, nasty, nasty fight. But look at that. That's some decent damage from King Gru there. But yeah, so he's going to go for his level 2 again here. I think at some point he might even get to level 3. I think here he gets to level 3. Oh no, that's level 2. Wonderful. But yeah, he definitely wasn't special attack friendly. Somebody, I think, inflicted level 3 on me, though. Maybe not this guy. No, yeah, this guy. So I had 62% health. Luckily, I did survive this, though. Luckily, I did survive this. At this point, I'm just trying to heal up, even though I'm not doing any damage with this level 3. Obviously, I trigger King Groot's healing abilities, and, you know, that's quite helpful here for me, because it's 100% clear that I will time out, but at least I can try time out with as much health as possible. And then I'm going to enter back in with King Groot again. And we're going to finish this fight off. And I'm going to manage to heal up plenty. But yeah, this Super Skull fight was one of the nastiest fights. It definitely was quite annoying. Now here against Warlock, it was fairly straightforward fight. Nothing hard there for King Groot. King Groot cannot be power drained, burned, or whatever by tech champions. And also King Groot does have at the very least 1 to 2 buffs active at all times. Well, he normally has like 1 type of buff active, but you can dex and gain the second one, so the infection doesn't last too long. And he does a ton of damage against robot champions. You can see here, as soon as I'm going to drop that level 2, so... And this is a level 2 with only like 4 Furies, I believe. So I have 4 Furies active on my level 2, which is not a lot of Furies, and it definitely did quite a lot of damage. And the fight finished pretty much therefore soon after. Then the next fight, now is where it kind of gets spicy. Now I'm gonna have a fight against Guardian to collect this Overwhelm boss crossfight. And this is super easy fight. There's nothing special to it. Only thing special about this fight for Corvus is that on purpose I triggered his auto block. So here, unfortunately, his armor didn't reactivate. So I had to wait longer till his armor is active so he can auto block my special attack, which is what I was hoping for. So we're going to see that that armor timer is about to expire. Now he has his armor active. He auto blocks it. Perfect. I can knock him down. Fortunately, I end up eating the level 1 there. It's not a big deal because he inflicts shock on Corvus as well. And thanks to that, I have access to some willpower heal. But I got the 4th mission here on this Guardian, which is very handy because it's also a very, very easy fight. And then we have Nimrod time. Now, this Nimrod fight I uploaded separate as a short 2-minute video clip. It was fairly sloppy, but at this point I have Corvus Glaive, 4 missions active, and, you know, Corvus just kind of did his thing here, I suppose you can say. Think he's going to go for level 2 at some point soon. Yep. Here, I kind of wish he didn't. I probably should have tried to dex it, but I just ate it all in the block because I wanted to play it safe. And here, now his Unstoppable has expired. I'm going to go for my level 2. Unfortunately, I do not have that Massive Fury active anymore, but still did a decent damage. Now I block another level 2, away that last bit though, thankfully. And I guess thanks to that power lock, I do get a bit of willpower healing here in as well. But I'm in a fairly tight spot where I only have 3 charges, and he still has like 16% health. So I'm trying to be as careful as possible with using those charges. So I don't actually want to hit him, I just want to hit his block, and I don't also want him to use his special attack. Now this special 108 was a bit clutch. But here at this point, I need to get in that damage here. So we're just tapping at the block gently to finish off his 4%. It's very close. And it's done. And now I can move on to dealing with these guys. And here I'm just going to bring in Corvus. It's going to be fairly quick. I'm at 10% health, but now obviously thanks to Corvus not taking bleed damage and me having Liquid Courage Double Edge active, I do manage to get in some healing. I kind of delay the fight here a little bit just to let that bleed debuff expire and get every last bit of healing in. At this point, I have used 6 items. I have 9 remaining, and, you know, how I feel fairly safe because I don't have too many fights left. So it was a bit of a ease kind of ease of mind, I guess you can say. Now here, this one is again quite an important fight because I do want him to use his level 1. I do want him to shock me. All of that stuff helps me because it triggers willpower, and I want to heal up my Corvus even a little bit more. So I want him to use that level 1, which he's going to do in a moment. At this point, I'm at like 30-something%. Nodes on these fights have like stun vulnerability, tenacity, and something else. But, you know, they're fairly basic nodes. These shared nodes are fairly basic. They're definitely not really all that problematic. So I dance about a bit with Corvus just to get some healing in. So I finish at 40% here. So we have recovered from 10% to 40% on Corvus. Now for this fight, I'm just going to bring in King Groot. These fights again are going to last a bit. This again is the same node combination I had in section 2. Buffed up attacker, buffed up defender. But, you know, King Groot against regular Groot. The answers are in the names. King Groot dominates. Now up against Odin. And here I made a crucial mistake. Here I actually made a crucial mistake. I parried him and I armor broke him. So I got rid of his armor buff. Now, normally, if you get rid of both of those buffs, he gets them back again. Like, if you get rid of Fury and if you get rid of armor up, then he gets them both back. But here, he didn't. So, for a moment, I thought I'm going to be a bit screwed. But then I remembered he gains a bunch of buffs whenever he activates, like, whichever special attack. And now, with that, I could actually start doing damage to him. So it's all fine. However, it's in my best interest to finish up this fight as quick as possible, though, because we can already see that I pretty much lost all the health that I had gained. I was at one point like 50% health, and now I'm back at like 40-something%. But it's quite alright. So I'm just getting a parry, finish on 40%. Then at this point, I was already quite hefty, leading by the point. But it's all good. And now we have like the final sets of fight. This is going to be Venom Pool. Bring in King Groot because why not? And, you know, it's not the quickest fight, but again, just King Groot does King Groot stuff. King Groot is definitely putting in so much work. I absolutely love it. He's one of those champions. He definitely doesn't make it like quick and maybe super easy, but he's so clutch. He's definitely such a good clutch option for when you do a map 8 for the first time. He made me feel safe, if that makes sense, in terms of items and everything else that's happening. Because I knew that I can, you know, worst comes to worst, I can time out like 15 times with King Groot. Because he's just going to regen it all back. And now we're going to go up against Silver Surfer. Not a problem there. You know, not maybe the most straightforward, fastest fight, but still fair enough. And nothing too crazy. Same basic fight setup. Now, this fight, I was thinking which champion I want this overthrow ability. Every time I fill a bar of power, I would gain unblockable, which would be really clutch against Penny Parker boss, which I'm assigned to take as well. And I figured that King Groot might benefit from this the most because, you know, with King Groot, I don't typically get afraid to be power burned against Penny because, you know, he can't be power burned. And I figured it would work really well. Unfortunately, this was, again, one of those times in a day that my controls started messing up, and it didn't really show in this fight, but it'll definitely show in my Penny Parker fights. So I'm dealing with this Red Skull just fine. There's nothing too crazy, you know, couple L2s. There's no special real nodes on him. Nothing of substance anyways. And once again, this is war. So, and now we are at the Penny fights. And the Penny fights are actually quite frustrating. So I'm going to start with King Groot. And there will be several moments where King Groot just does whatever he wants. He doesn't dash back. Sometimes he randomly dashes forward. And he definitely does whatever he does. And he doesn't do what I want him to do. And that was the case today quite a bit. Maybe not even as bad as here. But my Dex was missing in action a lot in War. Which caused me to die in War for the first times in season. And yes, I said times, so there's going to be a very fun Alliance War video. And it's just frustrating. Honestly, with these issues, I just wanted to throw the game in garbage. I wanted to throw my phone against the wall in the gaming garbage with it, and I just didn't want to touch it again. So, like, in Alliance Quest, it's one thing. It pissed me off. But, it's fine. Whatever. When it happened in War, it really infuriated me. Like, King Groot just does not respond to my controls to this fight much at all. Like, here, I wasn't trying to hit Penny that many times. But okay, I ate that level 1. Not a big deal. Still in it. Still somewhat holding there. And in the end, there's just going to be some weird moments again. So we have spent a minute and a half. Penny is at like 90-something%. At the very least, I'm unblockable. I dealt some damage, but, because she has the node that shrugs off the first debuff and gives her power, so the poison didn't land. I eat the level 2, and this fight's over. And then I'm going to bring in my Venom. No, Corvus Glaive first. And Corvus is probably one of the better options here to do the fight with. I'm just going to tap her block, and that's about it. Like, I think that's genuinely the best way how to fight here. So here I do make a mistake, but, happens. But I think the best way how to chip down this Penny is with a Corvus Glaive, just hitting her block, not trying to debuff her, not doing anything else with the nodes. Just doing this. Just doing this. It should suffice. It's a decent amount of damage. It's quite easy to get rid of that shield. And then, sneak in a couple of regular hits as well. On top of that, why not? And that will be ultimately how I take that Penny down later on as well. So I chip her down with Corvus a bit. I will mess up at some point here. Bring in Venom. And Venom was kind of excellently useless. Which, again, Venom is not meant to be able to be power burned by Penny, by tech champions. But he was, which is the reason why I don't want to bring in Venom tomorrow. Later today. I won't be bringing in Venom. I chipped her away a bit, but, in between Liquid Courage, Double Edge, and everything else, it didn't last too long. And then somebody else was fighting her already. And then I noticed that they had KO'd themselves as well and didn't finish off Penny. So I was like, since it's the first day of map 8 ever, and since this is my first run ever, we can see that I had 9 items remaining. I'm going to use another revive, one of these that we get plenty all the time. Really don't feel pressed for Alliance Quest revives particular. So I just used that basic level 2 revive on Corvus. And I'm going to do exactly what I said before. I'm just going to bring in Corvus and tap Penny Parker's block. And that will be it. That'll be all for this first run. This is a very long 33-minute video. Sorry about that. Just had a lot of fights in Alliance Quest. Start was rough. So I used about 3 team revives initially. I died a few times, but the rest of it was fairly smooth, and King Groot was MVP and Corvus was MVP. Venom is not coming along later today, I'd say. I'll probably pick up somebody else. But yeah, so my finishing points for day 1 are these. So I somehow managed to scrape up to 10 million something in day 1 because, well, I soloed second Nimrod, which was kind of cool. I did half of first Nimrod and I did most of Penny Parker. So I did see quite a lot of boss action. Not too bad. Hopefully, I'll adjust a bit. I'll change a bit my strategy. I'll take Venom out, definitely. I'll figure out who I want to replace Venom with. And if you guys want, I can try and upload day 2 run. Hopefully better. Or at the very least, one more day from this AQ cycle. But there we go. Full on 25 fight. Map 8. First ever run. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'm going to catch you guys soon. See ya.
Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the next